preparing or not. And if there is any mistake in your CV, then I will point that out, right? Okay, so again, I'm just saying that first half of the class, I will be discussing, that is more or less, suppose up to 4 p.m. or 4:15 maximum. So we will be discussing on the blockchain technology, and next half we will be doing with the personal interview skills. Okay, so one thing I can see that today more and more people are joining in. So maybe people are concerned with their interviews other than their studies. Nevertheless, we will discuss, no problem in that. Just a second. Okay, again, one thing more, that is, I'll send the PPT, so no need to ask for the PPT. Yes, I will send in your Telegram channel. Okay, so let us start. Now, before we begin, like we go into the subject and the details, first let me tell you, this is also a particular subject that you will be taught in your 7th semester, right? So the upcoming semester, you will be having this particular one as a total subject. So we will be discussing here that before that, if you sit for any interview and if any fundamental thing is being asked from you, then what type of questions can be there, and what type of discussions you can have on this topic, right? So here, don't expect that I will be teaching everything like in and out from the basics to everything in detail. We will just discuss the idea, right? We will be just discussing the idea, that is, what is blockchain, what are the aspects of blockchain, you can say it like that, and like what can be the type of work, or what can be the applications, or what are the utilities that are going through in and out in around us using blockchain, right? So that is what we will discuss. Now first, if I say, or if I ask you, more or less I will think that most students who are attending the class are not having any idea what is blockchain, right? Which is quite normal. Now, if I say that one student has written solidity, so I don't get for which portion you are asking for. So if I say that I'm discussing on, or I am asking you the question on what is blockchain, or what is your idea on blockchain, if I ask, then the straightaway answer can come from most of the students who are not having that much idea will be, we can deal with some transactions online, or the network through which we are discussing for the transactions, right? Solidity language, not at this particular level, we are not discussing on that, just the basics, right? So if you need that, you can stay. Yes. So another person is saying that system is anonymous and privacy focused. See, something which is anonymous cannot be privacy focused, right? Here, more or less, if I just define the term blockchain, then I will say that blocks of data are getting networked, right? Blocks of data are getting networked. Now, this concept can be treated as from many aspects, right? Data that we have, do we are transferring the data? That is very simple. Now, this concept of blockchain, it does not deal with only data transfer. It deals with transactions that we do online. More importantly, the data of one transaction or your private data over the transaction is getting circulated or getting communicated to someone else present in the network. That is the idea of blockchain, right? So an improved version of networking, but yes, obviously networking we will not discuss, but what is the idea of this data transfer? Is it secure? What are the aspects of security we have? What are the levels that we use? And some of the important terms that we have. These are the things that we will discuss. Now, the first and foremost, see, I have used many like pictures from over the internet. Obviously, I have not created this, but if you see this, then the things will get into your mind that yes, actually this thing is happening. So blockchain, if we just want to define them, then we are providing the data transfer or transactions, or we are trying to use the internet for these things. Like cloud, we have studied previously, but we want to secure the system. So we are using cryptography, or you can say we are using encryption, data encryption, right? So here, as we are talking about transactions or supposedly finance, so there is a term of ledger, like ledger journal. I hope you have heard in your finance. So that is the thing that we are using here, right? So in simple terms, blockchain is a technology that is giving you the consent to send your data or to perform some transactions. Now, when I say transaction, not always financial transaction, it can be any logical transaction. For or by which the data blocks, blockchain, right? So data blocks are getting networked. So like a chain, they are getting transferred or used from one another. So that is the idea of our blockchain technology, right? If you see this diagram, then you see here, data is getting processed, or the data is undergoing some transactions, and the data digest, the message digest. That means the gist of the data, of the important portion of the data, that is getting transferred to another block where another transaction is going on. So it is like a, you can say a chain type or a network type of communication, right? Now, next is, see, our discussion is based on your question answers, right? Basic question answers that you can expect. At this level, students will not be expected to answer in depth, right? So we will be discussing only on the basic question answers. Next is, as I was telling, there is a term of ledger. What is a ledger? In a particular financial transaction, the documentations that we do, everything, starting from transaction ID, from all the details of the transaction, the outcome, the history, everything, that we do a documentation in the ledger, right? Now, in case of blockchain, your ledger is not restricted to your own computer. It is over the internet, over the network, right? So we go for the concept of distributed ledger. We have already got the concept of distributed computing, right? Here, use this concept to understand what is a distributed ledger. You can see here the diagram where if I go for a transaction through my bank, then there are many customers. By using the bank only, I can do the transaction. So I have a central node, right? If the central node fails, then everyone is at stake. But in case of blockchain, it is a distributed working or distributed type of transaction that is happening. What is getting done here? There are different nodes present Each node is capable of processing the transaction and the work is distributed between the area. So right now it is not restricted to a, you can say, central node, right? So you can see here the diagram. What do you mean by a centralized ledger? Centralized ledger means a normal ledger that we have, that we follow in banks or our finance, right? And how it is different from a distributed ledger. Here you see the diagram where I am having node A to node E, and each of the node is trying to communicate with each other. That means node A can also process some transaction. Similarly, the next node is also able to process the transaction, right? Again, some students are writing the attendance in the chat box. See, I am not interested in that. Again, I say, if you are interested in the class or whatever materials we are discussing, you be here, or else you can leave. You join afterwards when we have the interview session. No one is stopping you. But don't bother within the class. No need to write anything in the chat box until and unless you are having any question. Right? Because the chat box will again pop up and that will create a problem for me. Right? Next, when we go for distributed ledger, again we have two type of different concepts. See here, in the left hand side of your PPT, the diagram that you are seeing here, every node is capable to process something. But if I perform a total transaction in that, from node A to node E, everyone will participate, and by participation of all 5 nodes, I am having a single transaction. So that is a single entity ledger. Though it is distributed, means all work is not getting done in node A or by node B, but everyone is doing something, but totally it is given a look of your transaction. See the right hand side where node C and node D, these two, node C alone, node D alone cannot do anything. Both of them together can process some transaction. Similarly, other nodes like node A is independent. It does not require anyone to process any work. Node B is also independent, E is also independent. Only the problem lies in node C and D. So here in this type of network, we are working with multiple entities. So first, to understand what is distributed ledger, a ledger where all nodes are working, no one is independent, I will say. Everyone is doing a part of the work and giving the data to another so that they can process. Everyone is doing some work, and totally it is giving like the face of a transaction. Centralized ledger is normal ledger where only there is a central node who can process. Others are just clients. They can request, they cannot do anything. Next, when you come to the distributed ledger types, you again have two types of distributed ledger where in the first one, each entity, each node is not able to do any work independently. So everyone is dependent and totally they can do a single work, right? In the multiple entity one, that is your right hand side one, node A is totally independent. So it can do its own work. Node E is independent, node B is also independent. Node C and D, they can do the work together. Single-handedly, they cannot finish the transaction. Both of them together can do. And they are connected over a network so that they can share some data also. So this is multiple entity structure and this is your single entity structure, right? Both of them are distributed ledger. They are distributed ledger types, right? Next is how your distributed ledger is working. So multiple nodes are connected. So how they are working? So here they have tried to create a flowchart by which you can understand what exactly is happening, right? So here see, the first step is using digital signature. Now see, what do you mean by digital signature? Can anyone tell me? What is a digital signature? Can anyone tell me? Anyone having any idea about digital signature, please write in the chat box in very short manner. Okay, so I am getting few answers. Just let me read out. First one is can be opened by definite individual. Fine. Next one is a contract signed between both the parties, sender and receiver, I believe. Fine. Next is passwords and user IDs. Next is digital code. Last one that I have got is it verifies the authenticity of a product or a software. Now see, if I go one by one, the first one that is it can be opened by definite individuals. So I hope you have not done the previous class where I have discussed the cryptography. So digital signature, if it is like that, then what is the difference between digital signature and a key that we use to open a data or secure a data? It is not for like opened by definite individual or something, right? Yes, it can be a form of, but not exactly the same that you are writing, right? Contract between both parties? No. User ID passwords? Not real. Passwords are passwords. They are not digital signature. So I will prefer the answer that I have got that it verifies the authenticity of the user. See, digital signatures can be of different types, right? And what is the function of a digital signature actually? In a digital signature, we put some, you can say some data, or we can say like some confidential information, or we say that a code that we have by which the other person is able to authenticate that data attached electronically, right? So we send the data over the internet or any network. So digital signature is not exactly a key that we use, but it can be a process of authenticating the user who is trying to use or access. So the first step of your distributed ledger is you are trying to initiate your transaction using a digital signature, means the authentication. It can be a key or it can be some like security question or anything. Next, it says that it is broadcasting the transaction to all the nodes present. Next, one or more nodes begin the validating the transaction. Nodes aggregate the validated transaction into blocks. Now see here, from here, your blockchain technology is beginning. When you are sending a data to a network, for that you don't require blockchain. But when you are going for identifying the data that is getting validated through your network, you require the authentication using blockchain. So when the nodes are sending data, those data or any transaction information, anything that will be sent or that will be like the total thing is divided into the work which one by one you will be doing, which we are calling blocks of process. And As I have told, the message digest that you are getting from one block is getting as the input of the other block. Next one, after converting them into blocks, the nodes will broadcast the blocks to each other. After we do this, there is a consensus protocol that is used. Now, what is it? I will discuss this in a consecutive slide, but what is it in basic? This one means if I have any proof that yes, I am the authorized person who is working or who is intended for the data, then I can access the data, right? So that is your consensus protocol. The sender is sending a particular data. With that, it is sending that who will receive, and consensus protocol will verify that, right? And then the block will find out that what work is done and your outcome, right? So, or not actually outcome, but it will store all the transaction details into the ledger, right? So ledger is for storing your data and details. So those things will be done in the last step, right? So this is how your ledger is working, fine. Next, if you look into that, how actually cryptography is related to blockchain, very, very important question. How cryptography is related to blockchain. Now, you see, at every step of your transaction that is being done online, you need to secure your data. For that, what you will use? You have to go for cryptography, right? So when you are starting the transaction, then you require the the cryptography technologies like digital signature using public and private keys. When you are validating the transaction, whether done or not, then you require proof of work, POW, that we have. That is a type of validation process which we undergo, which can say that yes, your thing is done, right? And last is the chaining of blocks, where we use that from which block to which block we will go. We use hash functions, right? So I hope you have the idea of hashing. Do you have the idea of hashing? Do you have any idea of hashing? I'm not asking what idea, but do you have that? What do we do in hash tables? And okay, so one person has written yes, 2, 3, fine. So I will just assume that you have the basic idea. So what we do here, we like with a particular value, we assign some transactions. Like, so transaction number you can say, or transaction index you can say. Not index, indexing is different. The numbers by which uniquely we can identify our transactions, right? So in all steps, we are trying to secure our transaction that we are doing. As we are working on a public network, right? Internet is your public network. So on that, we have to secure our data. So for that, we are using cryptography, all the steps. Next, see what your ledger can do. Power of the ledger means what exactly it can do. See, in your banks, you have a central person or a central, like bank is the central authority, right? Who is processing all the works of all clients. So it is unbiased for everyone. But in case of ledger, it is distributed type of a network, right? Where each node are each individual clients who are able to process something, work for something, and so on, right? So here there can be trust issues, that whether whom I am giving the data, it is not any reputed one or anything, right? So there lies the first significance of your ledger. Next thing that I can say that each node is able to produce some values. That value can be helpful for other because they are connected over a network. Next is we use ownership tags on our data. When we are sending the data or we are releasing data for some work, we are using some ownership tags on it, because or else whose data will get stored where in which node's ledger, we don't know, right? Again, for one node, what are your processings or transactions that are done? That will be identified by the records that we maintain. So here we have to maintain the record. You can say centrally, no, distributed, but all financial transactions need to be documented, right? So these can be the different aspects of using your distributed ledger. Next, if I go for distributed ledger and I go for normal transaction, what can be the difference? So the first column is the criteria, second column is the transaction, and the third one is your distributed ledger. So left column, you can say it is the central ledger, and the right column, you can say that is the distributed ledger. So the first one is about the participation. In a distributed ledger, suppose if it is a central ledger, then there is a central node with whom many persons can interact. But in case of distributed ledger, you are within a network who are communicating. So it is a closed circle, others cannot interact. Next one is the about the permission. Permission means we try to incorporate the cryptography in our transactions, which in normal transactions we are not doing. Right? You have studied transactions, right? So there are access, but permissions we very hardly do. The design of the ledger, if it's a transaction, is a single ledger. But in case of distributed ledger, we have like different points are maintaining different ledgers, right? So it is a segregated or distributed type of ledger. Or if there is a hash function, or if we are using a hash function, then there can be a central ledger as well. But that has to be maintained in any one of the nodes, right? Now, in some node, if you maintain it, then that node will be privileged than others. So that may be objected, and hence we maintain segregated ledgers. Next one is the validation. See, validation and the consistence, that is the updation. These two are more or less same for all transactions. Right. Next, if I go for the technological blockchain, then you can see here, there are blocks of data which are connected over the network, and they are having some reference of the previous. They can give reference or they can take reference from the previous. So that is the blockchain technology. So blockchain is a some people call it technology, some people call it as a data structure, because data blocks are getting maintained, and the in this particular aspect of blockchain, on the networks, the data blocks that are residing, everyone is not permanent. So if you don't want, you can delete and get rid of some, right? So that is the idea of your blockchain. What are the types of blockchain that we have? We have public, private, and consortium blockchain. So public blockchain is the ones that we generally use over internet. Private means, suppose there is a contract between two person or two company, then we go for private blockchain. And if it is within a committee, or you can say within a body of people or organizations who are working together, then it's a consortium, right? So three types of blockchain. Again, whatever I'm discussing, all are question answer based. So you need to prepare on these basis, right? So topics I have given, try to use all the topics, means cover everyone. So you can take the topics from the PPT and study. Answers, questions, everything I have given, so you can just refer to them. Next thing, what do you mean by cryptocurrency? Now, this particular question or this particular like idea or topic is in very much discussion nowadays. So, what exactly this is? What is cryptocurrency? Suppose you have money on your pocket. If you can have some means which can behave like your money and which can be digitally communicated or transferred, right? So if I say that my digital currency is my cryptocurrency, not always. Cryptocurrency can also be a virtual type of currency. Suppose I have virtually I have 3 blocks of data or 3 alphabets I have virtually, means over the internet, and one alphabet is equals to 50 rupees. Like that I am measuring. I am having a scale and we are measuring. And based on that, the transaction is happening. So whoever is trying to communicate with that person, we will always use alphabets other than our money to communicate, right? So cryptocurrency can be taken as a digital money that all of us use. Also, it can be thought of like a, like you can say, virtual body or virtual entity which can be used like a currency, right? So it can be called as crypto or it can be called as cryptocurrency. Both are valid. Next, let us have the idea of what is Bitcoin. This is the next terminology. Terminologies are important because here the concepts will not be expected from you. So terminologies are important. Now, if we look into what is Bitcoin, then some people can have the idea blockchain and Bitcoin are the same things. We hear it always side by side. But that is not actually the case. When we talk about Bitcoin, it is a type of cryptocurrency which is used in blockchain for doing the transactions. Understand? There are many types of digital currencies. One of them is Bitcoin, the oldest one. There are others, Ethereum and so, that we will discuss. But what is it? It is not the blockchain technology or platform or data structure, anything you call. It is the currency that we are going for, and this particular currency is used to do transactions in your blockchain technology, right? So blockchain is the data structure, or you can say technology, or you can say the platform offered by the technology. But Bitcoin is a part of it, or you can say Bitcoin is the one by which you can do the transactions, right? So now we will study few points where we will understand that what is exactly Bitcoin all about. See, this one is the first, like we can say, first type of cryptocurrency that is popular in the market. Like previously also, previous to Bitcoin, there were also cryptocurrencies present, but those were not this much popular. So we don't even know their names. See, blockchain technology nowadays is very popular, but it is not very much old, right? It's a new type of technology, and Bitcoin is newer than that, right? So this was invented in the year of 2009 or 2010, around that. And the person Satoshi Nakamoto, that person has invented this, right? Invented means the creation, right? So here, like in Bitcoin, we use 8 decimal places of bits which are used to do one payment, right? So maximum 8 decimal points, up to that we can do a payment. And this 8 decimal bits, this block is named as Satoshi, right? So the person who has invented, behind his name only it has been named, right? So the, like, you have the idea that we use gold for making business, right? Like gold is also dealt like your money, like not cash. If you don't have the liquid cash, you can also use gold for that. Similarly, Bitcoin is also compared like gold, fine. And the one that we have next is compared as the silver, right? So your Bitcoin, the value of the Bitcoin varies every day, right? So more or less every day like gold. So suppose today I have a Bitcoin having 25 rupees, normally $25, suppose. Tomorrow the price has gone up for that particular cryptocurrency and it has become 37. So I'm in profit. So now you have heard of someone, or maybe you yourself have tried that, yes, the market is not very good, so my Bitcoin, or we can say that my cryptocurrency value is falling day by day, right? So it is not like stock market or stock exchange. Some people are misunderstanding this, but it is just like you deal with gold, not using cash. When you are dealing it with gold, similarly you can deal with Bitcoin, right? So I'm just trying to give you the basic idea, fine. Next, if we talk about the Bitcoin, then like the means who produces Bitcoin, right? Who produces Bitcoin? So Bitcoins are not produced by any like any RBI. Reserve Bank of India does not produce Bitcoin. So who is doing that? Using the technology of blockchain, you are proceeding towards a transaction using your Bitcoin, right? So likewise, it is getting popular. So we can say that no cryptocurrencies are produced by your RBIs, right? So they are being dealt by normal companies who are dealing with digital market. They are working on Bitcoins. Next, if you understand, if you are dealing, suppose nowadays dealing with, suppose you are buying a particular cryptocurrency for a company A, then you and A are responsible. There is no intermediator, right? So like there is no person who will be responsible for your networking. It is a peer-to-peer network. Very simply, it is a peer-to-peer communication, right? Now, if this Bitcoin term, sometimes we write with capital B, sometimes we write with small b, like the first alphabet. The capital B, if I write, then Bitcoin means I am talking about the network in which we are working. And if it is written as small b, then we are talking about the currency using which we are working, right? Again, we are working on public network, so we must be careful on what type of transactions we are doing using our, see, be it a liquid cash, be it gold, be it cryptocurrency, everything is our hard earned money. So when you are using them, you must be careful, because everything of them are open source. They are on public network. So other than normal cryptography, we don't have any other security measures, right? So if you look into the ecosystem of Bitcoin, like how they are evolved, so here you can just have an idea from this slide. You can have the value of Bitcoin is assumed something. One participant has said that the value of alphabet A is $5. Suppose more like participant 1 is there, so participant 2, 3, and 4 has also come in the network. They are saying no, the value of A, they are bidding. The value of A is increasing, so the value of A is now $13. Other one says $17. So likewise, it is going on inside the market, right? So you can see here, the value of Bitcoin is increased if the participants are more and the security is more. If the participant is interested in your Bitcoin, like the value of gold, it increases day by day because the participants are more and the value of that particular metal is increasing, right? So similarly, first Bitcoin value is fixed at some point, but that does not mean that that point, that value will be fixed throughout its lifetime. No, even if I have more and more participants in my network, then the value of that will get increased, right? So this we call as the Bitcoin ecosystem. Important terminology you must remember, and the cycle, if you remember, that is enough. Next we go for the previous slide, means this Bitcoin ecosystem slide. This one, there is a value of Bitcoin. More participants when are coming, more security and they are getting, the value is getting increased, right? So that is like a circular motion before it dies. This slide, whenever we are using any cryptocurrency, be it Bitcoin or anyone, we are working on a public network, right? So in public network, anyone can participate in any transaction without any restriction, right? So we are not getting into any like means any limit, right? So anyone can participate. So if it is controlled centrally, like central ledger, then we could have implemented some restrictions. But here, if the participants are interested, then the value of Bitcoin will always go up, right? And if no one is interested, then the value will become zero and then it will be thrown out, or it will be of no use afterwards, right? So that is the idea of your Bitcoin, right? Is it fine? So next we will go into the middleman. See here, when we have means I'm not understanding, you are just saying repeat, what I have to repeat? If there are more than one participant, because there is no restriction, if more people are interested in a single thing, then the price will automatically get increased. If there is no more such interest, then that particular portion will be thrown out of your network. That is what it is, the ecosystem. How it is increasing, that is being explained in the second slide. That is this one. More participants, more security, and the price of the Bitcoin will go up, right? Next here you see, as I was talking about the peer-to-peer network, here there is no central point or central authority who will approve or who will not approve or who will give access, nothing like that. So here we can have like a trusted party, which we call as a third party, who is trying to initiate the transaction, right? So in your blockchain technology, when more than one nodes are trying to communicate, there can be one middleman or a third party who is trying to like restrict, give some data as restriction or trying to restrict some transactions or so on. And this particular concept is getting obsolete whenever Bitcoin is coming into the picture. It is direct peer-to-peer communication in Bitcoin, right? So we call this concept as the cutting of the middleman. So as you have three third party through which you are doing the communication, if you have the concept of cryptocurrency, then that third party is getting obsolete, right? Next one that we are talking about the consensus. What is it? Suppose I have one Bitcoin value. I have a network on which that Bitcoin is working or rolling over. After a certain amount of time, suppose within a 10 seconds interval or 1 hour or like that, every participant should agree on a single information that the value of that particular Bitcoin is this much, right? Suppose the A and 50 people are or 50 parties are present in your network. Now, you will be going for the transaction. So before that, everyone has to stick to a point that the value of A is suppose $20. Bitcoins have the probability of, you have seen the ecosystem where their prices are, the values are going increasing order, right? Now, if we follow it like this, that before going into a certain state, the value of the Bitcoin will be fixed, or everyone will agree in a single point that the value is fixed in this point, right? So that is the consensus. That is, everyone is giving consent into that, right? So this, like you can say, this concept is important because you are working over the public network. Next important is, whenever you are having a value of any Bitcoin, it is public over the network. Whenever you are making the value fixed by the participants as public, all the participants become a witness of it, right? So how to create witness? Whenever you declare the consensus, your participants are becoming witness to your value of Bitcoin, right? Next is how your Bitcoin is actually working. See here, there are networks by which Bitcoins are falling or so, but here we will just go through the terms which provides you the network on which your Bitcoin can work. So the first one is your network in which it is working. The second one is the value, the cryptocurrency of the Bitcoin network, also called as BTC. Bitcoin network cryptocurrency means the value of the Bitcoin that is rolling over. And the third one is the blockchain, that is by which technology, which data will get transferred where, that chain is formed, that data structure is formed. So whenever you are having the Bitcoin performing, you will have a network first component. Second component is the BTC, the Bitcoin network cryptocurrency, that is the value of the Bitcoin. And third is the Bitcoin blockchain, right? So providing a data structure on which they can work. Next question can be, what is proof of work? POW. Now, what is proof of work? This one is used to validate the transactions that are happening over your Bitcoin, over your public network, to get it secure, right? So Bitcoin that is used in your any blockchain technology, what is the proof of work? Proof of work is this consensus agreement that is going on, that is the value is fixed, and the creation of the witness, right? Now, proof of work is the first agreement or first cryptocurrency agreement that was run on blockchain. But afterwards, proof of stake has also come. What is this proof of stake? This one is the person who is consuming or working on that Bitcoin, a particular cryptocurrency, that person's consent is the proof of stake. Like in proof of work, every participant present in your network has to agree. But in case of proof of stake, only the person who is using or currently being updating the blockchain, that person will only be the consent of your proof of stake, right? Creating a witness means whenever you are releasing the value that you have got for the consensus process that everyone has agreed as $10 for a particular Bitcoin, when you are circulating it over a network, it's a public network, so everyone must know the value of the Bitcoin for that particular point of time. Whenever you are circulating, everyone is aware of that, so then it becomes the proof of work. You are creating witness, so that is your proof of work. Everyone is agreeing at the same point. But what is proof of stake? Proof of stake means one person is using a Bitcoin and that person is declaring the value. So that becomes your proof of stake, right? Next is, how is your Bitcoin created? See, this particular concept has got a lot of theory, but I will just tell you one basic thing, that is a particular value or a particular Bitcoin means cryptocurrency. When it is released over the network, the participants who are present will give a value of it, right? And that value either be agreed by everyone. If yes, it becomes a proof of stake. If not, then all the participants will be agreeing on that point that we accept this particular value, right? So this is how your Bitcoin is created. Fine. So the general notion that we have is, after our Bitcoin value reaches to 21 million by increasing and increasing, we will stop the value there. We will not invest or will not work with any new Bitcoin. We will stop our value there. Let the transaction finish, let the Bitcoin be discarded, or value loss generally does not happen. But if so, it gets discarded and then we can work with a new one, right? So that is what is being written. So 21 million Bitcoins, you must remember this term. Next concept we have is the Bitcoin wallet. Bitcoin wallet is a program by which it can run on your distributed network also, or your normal computer, node computer, which is involved in the distributed network. Which one will be used to send, receive, or validate or secure the Bitcoin. Right? Whenever Bitcoins are rolling over between two nodes, this Bitcoin wallet program, using encryption, that is the cryptography and the keys that we have, they secure the value. They also initiate and receive the value. Right? So that is Bitcoin wallet. Again, terms are important, so please remember the terms. Now there are some characteristics of your blockchain. So these you can just go through, like they are distributed, like decentralized. Bitcoins will update values, right? So always it is write-only mode. Once the transaction is done, it is immutable if it is committed. Like if you have the digital signature, then you can restrict yourself for the malicious participants and so on, right? Now see, some of the problems are still lying in blockchain technology, though nowadays most working or most data processing is done using blockchain. So the first is when you are working on distributed computers, you have the relying on one other. Like you don't have that much of memory to store everything. You don't have that much processing power and so. So this particular thing is using a large number of uh, like energy consumption. So many machines are running, right? Many nodes are running. Next is we have the scalability problem. Scalability means if suppose 5 nodes are working, so they have decided the value of the Bitcoin. Now, if the 6th person comes in, it's okay, they can be added always. But the problem is, will that person be also agreeing on the Bitcoin or accept the proof of stake? Right. Next is when you are trying to bypass your third parties, is your transaction secure? Right. Suppose you have invested money and nothing has come out. So that can be an like inconsistent type of transaction that you are doing. So blockchain also has got some of the backlogs, and these are some of them. So advantages are there, disadvantages are there, and both you must remember. Now we come to the next Bitcoin, next cryptocurrency type after Bitcoin. It is Ethereum. After Bitcoin, Bitcoin is the first successful one. This is the second one, that is Ethereum. Again, this one is also used by distributed ledgers. This one is also open source, because if it is not open source, everyone cannot use it on the network. You are working on public networks, right? So it is called as Ether or ETH, anything, any short form can be used. So it is a type of cryptocurrency that is less popular than Bitcoin, but more popular than other cryptocurrencies available, right? So when Bitcoin is compared to gold transaction, Ethereum is compared to silver, right? Because it's a bit lesser than that. So what is the difference? See, Bitcoin is just the you can say just the alternative of your normal currency, like liquid cash or gold, just a replacement of that. But in case of Ethereum, Ethereum has some programming capability which can alter your currency that you have. Okay, for now you just understand this. There are algorithms, but we will not go into them. But just for now, just understand how it is different. Bitcoin is popular, but it is just a way of a digital currency. In case of Ethereum, along with the digital currency value, it also has got the idea on the programming. Programming means altering the values of that currency, right? So you can see here the difference block that is given. So this one I have got. So I've just given you that. The processing time of Bitcoin, you can see, is much greater than Ethereum, right? Because Ethereum is a bit improved one, but not very much popular, right? So also in Bitcoin, the number of nodes cannot be increased or so. So it is not, it has got scalability issue. But in Ethereum, you can adjust it. So whenever you can do programming in any data, then it can be always better than anyone else. Next, we will go into few questions we will review. So majorly we have done this much only you need. Blockchain, the blockchain system, what is cryptocurrency, what is Bitcoin, how Bitcoin is used, what is a distributed ledger. Before all this, what is a distributed ledger, how it is different from a central ledger, examples. And then the types of, again, distributed ledgers we have with example. And then we go for Bitcoin, their lifestyle, like ecosystem of Bitcoin evolution. And then we have our Ethereum, that is the second part of your cryptocurrency that we generally use. So more or less from this only we like, what do you say, we are likely to get question from this concept, right? So we have, again, I say we have just discussed the brief idea. Don't think that this is all, because this is a total subject that you have. Okay. Next, we will be discussing few of the questions, few of the direct interview questions I have written here, along with the answers. And which are not very difficult if you have understood whatever we have studied till now. The first question says that the two types of records that are present in the blockchain database. First is the data, that is the record itself, and second one is the transactions record. So two type of records we maintain. One is the, say, they say block records, we say normal data records, and transaction record, right? What are the properties of blockchain? It's a distributed system, decentralized, distributed ledger it follows. It's a secure ecosystem, safe and secure means you can, or you can say that we use cryptography to secure them. And minting means the value of bitcoins can be adjusted, right? It can increase, decrease, so that is minting. So these can be the properties of your blockchain. Next, if we go for the difference between blockchain and your traditional database, right? Traditional database. So what is the difference, or what are the differences, key differences? So you can just go through this particular chart. Your you can say that your normal system, normal database can create, read, update, delete, crude operation. Here you see, create, read, update, delete. So these are your crude operations. But in case of blockchain, you cannot do create, right? So what you can do, you can only insert values from one network to the other network, or you can exchange values maximum, right? Next, replications. In blockchain, it is fully replicated, and in normal database, it's like a multi-pair system or master slave system, like that. Next, the consensus in blockchain, everyone is agreeing on a standard point, and here we have the two-phase commit protocol. That means we will be taking the idea of distributed transactions, and then we will be locking our data, fixing the value. And last one is the invariance. Invariant means which one's values are getting changed, or the values are getting updated or not. So those things. So in blockchain, within your network, any node can do this updation. But in case of traditional database, we have to look into the integrity and consistency of our data. Next, what is encryption, and what is the role of it in blockchain? What is encryption? I have already discussed. There is a plain text. You use a key and convert it to an unreadable format. That's a ciphertext. That is, this process is your encryption. What is the role of encryption here? Using encryption, you can secure your data. You can add digital signature. You can add some keys to your data so that your data is secure over the network. Last one. What do you mean by the blocks of your blockchain technology? Block is nothing but data blocks, or you can say records, right? So a set of data can be stored. So you can say that what do you call data and metadata can be stored in a block. So the blockwise structure you can see here, these are your data blocks, right? These are your data blocks. Next, how to reach to a particular block. You have multiple blocks in your blockchain, right? So using what you will reach to a block, you will use hash function, right? So hashing is used here. You will use unique values like hash keys or hash functions, right? Next, is it possible to modify the data once created in a block? No. Once created, blocks cannot be altered, or data cannot be altered. You can append new one, but here means insert new one. That is what you can do. You cannot create one, but The one that is already done that cannot be updated, right? What do you mean by block identifiers? Block identifiers are nothing but using which hash function you are identifying which block, that is your block identifier, right? Next, is it possible in a blockchain to remove one or more blocks from the network? Blocks you can remove, right? You can remove, but you cannot update, right? So updation is not possible, insertion is possible, removing is possible, for updation is not possible. Right? So if you don't want any, you delete it, insert a new one, but you cannot change the value. What do you exactly know about the security of the block? Firstly, we use unique hash function or hash keys to identify the blocks. Secondly, we use the cryptography, that is your, we use any algorithm, any cryptographic algorithm, like we have the RSA algorithm, the Diffie-Hellman algorithm, many algorithms are there to generate the key by which you can unlock your data, right? So by these things, we can secure our data over the network, the public network. The main concern is public network, right? So we can do that using this. Next, what are Merkle trees? Merkle trees are nothing but the hash trees that we use. So here we have a hierarchy of data storage, right? A hierarchy of data storage. So in this hierarchy of data storage, we use the, what do you say, the hash functions from where the data is getting stored. So here your hash blocks that we have, within which we have the hash functions. So here this transfer is being done and the leaves are our data. So this data is going here, going through the hash function here and getting stored in some block, right? So this is your Merkle tree, nothing but the hash function to your data mapping tree is the Merkle tree in your blockchain. Next one, what is a ledger and is blockchain and incorruptible ledger? See, whenever you are in a public network, you cannot be incorruptible, right? So there can be some problems at any point of time. But what we will try to do, we will try to secure our data using any network algorithm or any cryptographic algorithm, anything. But the main problem is the blockchain is thought of incorruptible. That is, if any block of data is found to be mishandled or found to be lost or something, then we can always go for inserting a new one, a fresh one. With this concept, we say that the blockchain is incorruptible, but actually it is not, right? So if they ask you for your view, you can say it like this. Next is the ledgers that we have that we use in different blockchains. We use centralized ledgers, but generally not in blockchains. In blockchains, we use decentralized ledgers, random or distributed network, where everyone is connected to everyone else. Decentralized and distributed are not same. In decentralized, everyone is not connected to everyone else, but in distributed network, everyone is connected to everyone else. For that can be for data communication, that can be for data exchange, anything. The types of records that we store in blockchain. See, in blockchain, we say that transaction does not only mean financial transaction, right? So any record keeping or any storage can be done using blockchain, which needs to be transferred to someone else. Any data which needs to be transferred to someone else can be stored in blockchain, right? So you can see some examples like medical transactions, some identity management, some business transactions, some management activity, anything can be going from one to other, which has a chance of getting propagated, can be done using, can be stored using blockchain. Next, see what are the things that are present in the blockchain ecosystem. They say there is a distributed ledger, there is a virtual machine. What it is doing? It is implementing the instructions, or you can say the implementation of the instructions on the nodes that we have, each node. There is a consensus algorithm which is trying to keep everyone on one single point, that you agree on this point and then we can like use that Bitcoin. And the node application means on every node we should have some interfaces, UIs, by which we can access our blockchain technology, right? So that is the node application. And ledger is the what do you say, the structure of the data that we use for data transactions, data transfers, or so on. Next, you see the proof of work versus the proof of stake. In the proof of work, we require more effort because everyone has to agree on a single point, right? And in case of proof of stake, the user himself or herself will declare the value. So there is very, very less chance of agreement, right? So it's a very, you can say, like it is not very much difficult for others to handle, right? Next one, some of the names of the popular blockchain applications. See, blockchain application is not Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Some which can use these cryptocurrencies are your blockchain applications. The first one is the Hyperledger community, very, very popular name. So just remember the name. Also, we have the Qtum, we have the EOS, we have the IOTA, this type of used platforms for blockchain. Next important, very, very important, what do you mean by double spending? Suppose you have a 10 rupees in your wallet. You have given that 10 rupees to the ice cream seller to have an ice cream. When you go next to have, suppose, some momos, you require a 30 rupees. Can you include the previously spent 10 rupees? No, you don't have that. Same thing happens when you are trying to use a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency. Once one is used, that is marked, and your blockchain will not allow you to use it once more. I hope you are getting the point. Double spending means more than once you are trying to spend the same money, same cryptocurrency. It's not possible, right? So very, very important concept that you will be asked with. And then you have mostly the last one, the benefits of blockchain. So if everything is over the internet, it is always resource saving, it is cost saving, it is time saving, it is storage saving, that is cost saving again. Next is the security we are providing using the cryptography or encryption, anything. And we have the, what do you say? The immutability means, like suppose if I say that one state of your data or usage, if I say it is immutable, immutable means what? Immutable means is not like updating, it is not changing. So value that is being present, if it is not changing, there is very less chances of getting it to be mistake, right? So that is your immutability property. And sorry, the last one that you have is the pseudonymity. What is pseudonymity? This one is means it is a peer-to-peer working, right? So when I'm sending to a peer, the other person are having the idea of anonymous transactions, right? So they are not having the disclose of identity always, right? So that is your idea of pseudonymity, means anonymous transactions, right? So more or less, these are the things from where you can have questions. More importantly, the terminologies that you must remember, very basic. At this level, no one will expect that you will be a master in the cryptocurrency, right? Or you can have all the algorithms of cryptography which can secure your data also. So those things are not expected from you, right? So that is it on blockchain. That is all I had to discuss. Fine. So do you have any questions? Please ask from your side. If you have any questions, I will just give some time for any questions if you have. I'll just give you 2 more minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask in the chat box. If you have any questions, you can ask. I'm just waiting for a few more time so that if you have any question, you can just think of it and ask. So just wait for 5 minutes. Okay, so the first question that I have got is what projects can be made with blockchain? Project means if you want to do some work, right? So you can work with blockchain security algorithms. That is the most happening project that you can work with. Like other than network security, whenever you are doing a transaction over the network, what type of security you can provide? Yes, NFT marketplace is a like renowned one for your security. Ma'am, can you explain for Ethereum ones? Ethereum is a type of cryptocurrency similar like Bitcoin, less popular than Bitcoin, and it has the ability of programming within the data, within the cryptocurrency itself, where you have the provision of extending the cryptocurrency. Like in Bitcoin, once the data is fixed, it cannot be changed or updated or scalable, anything. But in Ethereum, you can do that. Any other questions from anyone? Yes, you can make an e-commerce website, but e-commerce website actually does not come under your proper blockchain. So if you want to include means e-commerce website, you will be dealing with your normal currency, right? Normal digital currency, right? So it does not come under proper blockchain. In blockchain, you have to use the cryptocurrency. For trading, you can see what type of trading you are doing. Suppose you are working for the digital market, right? So not campaigning, but for digital market, then you can, if you have the influence of cryptocurrency, then you have to know about blockchain. Yes, if the pricing is done using Ether, then always you are under blockchain, but normal cryptocurrency, normal digital currency are not actually under proper blockchain, right? Like previously, blockchain was your under your networks only, using public network. But nowadays, even if you are not using any cryptocurrency, then you are not into blockchains, right? I hope it's clear. Yes, if you use ethers, then it is proper blockchain. Then you can go for a blockchain project. Can we make a project of mining? See, mining is a live thing where participants will be there, they will be under the network, and they will be minting for your Bitcoin. But yes, a dummy you can always. Any more questions? See, I find today few people are more interested in these topics. Among 226, suppose 200 people are idle, but at least 26 have listened. How to do trade? Yes, but this blockchain inclusion of trading, uh, practical knowledge means I have not done any trading, but yes, if you want, I can guide you. Which is the major factor for determining price? Popularity. How much people are using, that is the main one. Elon Musk holds and dumps, it is related to the company who is working, the participant who is working on that Bitcoin, right? Who is bidding, or proof of stake is done by that particular company. Okay, anything else? Okay, people who are present in the meeting, please be ready with your resume, like CVs. What resource we will need? You have to have a participant base. You have to give some currencies, like not actual currencies, but like the gold. You have to have a dummy like that, means on which you will bid, the minting that we will do, on which you will do. So that is the base. Okay, so I think more or less that I'm with the discussion now. I'll take a, I'll also take, I'll give you also a 5 minutes of break.